I talk a lot about how addiction is about trying to find relief and move into a place where we are emotionally comfortable. One question I get a lot, and one question I just got this morning, was, well, what about those times when we're using our addiction in order to enhance joy? Because we already feel good, but we want to feel better. We feel amazing, and so we go into our addiction, and then there we go, we get lost in it. Then what? How does it make sense within the paradigm that I'm talking about? Well, I have to tell you that when I was in my addiction, even when I was happy, I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel comfortable. There was a lot of anxiety that came with that emotion because I didn't know how to process it and I didn't know how to keep it. If I was not at a baseline of numb, I did not feel good. I was very uncomfortable. I was very insecure about all of my emotions because all I knew is that my emotional circumstances were based on outside circumstances that I didn't have control over. A good example is when I was falling in love with my husband. This was a couple years ago. I was falling in love and it was the most amazing feeling. I wanted it. Of course I wanted that feeling. But it also came with a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of concern because I didn't know how to keep the feeling of being in love. I had been married, I had been divorced, and I knew that back in those early years when I first had that feeling of being in love and that hopefulness of moving into a life with somebody and building a life how I wanted it to look, that didn't happen. I did not keep that feeling of love. Life broke me. My life got so hard that I didn't want to feel. My life got so hard that I hated the person that I was with. I didn't know how to keep that feeling of being in love. I didn't know how to keep that feeling of feeling safe and feeling happy and wanting to build a life and trusting that I could build anything. And this was already when I had already gone through addiction recovery and was in a really stable place. But I had a lot of fear come up when I was falling in love because I recognized that I hadn't been able to keep that feeling before. And that's how it was for me on a very small level, on a very big level throughout my life, especially when I was deep in my addiction. And it was because I didn't know how to keep the feeling of happy. I didn't know how to keep the feeling of this is a good day. I'm excited. I have joy. I didn't know how to process the emotion, especially because I did not have a formula for how to keep that emotion. So anytime I felt happy or excited or euphoric, it also came with a little bit of anxiety about how long will it last, and what do you know? I go into my addiction and chase numb.